thought I'd run it. I'm not hooked in, so I can't get to that information.
So, would it be fair on the King County property taxes to say it assumes we are approving the increase discussed?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So that would be an increase from the actual levy amount of $13,365?
The actual levy amount of, yes. Not counting new construction.
Are we proposing, does this proposal include any contribution to our reserve?
There is a 597. $3,000 transfer to Fund 98, which is the cumulative reserve. $3,000. Last year it was budgeted for $3,000. I carried the same forward.
I see that as the equipment reserve and the cumulative reserve only not having any revenue besides $175, and we're probably not doing it.
Then shame on me.
I believe that's the same as last year, though, that the equipment reserve got $3,000 and the cumulative reserve got nothing since our 2010 contribution.
Right, but we also didn't raise we didn't take the 1% last year.
Right.
But this is proposing that we do take the 1%, but not next year.
398. I'm sorry, that's an equipment one. That does not add to the cumulative reserve. Got my 98 and 99 mixed up.
But they're right on the paper, correct?
Yes.
Is it possible to bank that 1% this year?
We did transfer it this year. To the equipment fund. Are you talking about going to the cumulative reserve or to the equipment?
To the equipment, yes.
I have it budgeted to do that, and it did happen in 2012. We made all those transfers, I believe, in August.
Can I go back to Trent's question on the King County property tax? Sorry to keep jumping in right here. Why isn't the same true for Pierce County? I'm showing the projected year end for Pierce County to be 229 and the proposed 2013 to be 210.
I can't see it.
I think that's because the property values went down.
We're budget-based systems. I mean, unless we're up against our 190, which I don't think we are.
We're not anywhere close to up against.
Did we get a huge amount of new construction this year?
We did have some new construction, but that was in King County, not in Pierce County.
I mean, property values going down isn't going to reduce the amount that's collected in property taxes. It just increases the rate that people pay.
That's true.
So I still don't understand how it's worth $20,000 less. But I proposed 2013 revenue is $20,000 less than projected year end of 2012. It should be 1% more plus in construction.
And this is the end of August.
Yeah.
This is
I
not
can't
the-
remember if this is from 2012 or not, but in Finance Committee there was some large property tax bill that came in, I can't remember if that was this year or last year, came in after the end of the year, and since we're cash-based, it rolled forward into the wrong year and distorted things.
Well, and that could be Tridelt.
That could be.
Was this year.
Yeah.
And that's property tax we actually paid ourselves. I will.
Okay.
Maybe get back to the finance committee.
Yeah, oh, yeah, I can do it next year.
I'll bring it back to council. There's a council meeting before the finance committee meets.
Oh, yeah.
Jen, did you have a question?
I've lost them. I don't know where it falls in this budget document. I've only marked up what you sent Josh and myself over the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
So a couple things that I would think would be kind of static would be council salary. In 2012, it was budgeted at $11,650, and this year, for next year, it's $14,000. Can you explain why that changes? And this year, it's projected at $17,400. Are we getting overtime?
Not that I know of. Let's see what we've got going. If we do the math, and if I remember correctly, are you not at, is it $100 or $200 a month?
$200 a month.
$200 a month times 7 is 14. Well, let's do this. We got the machine in here. Times 7 times 12 comes to 16,800. So why is it at 14?
16,500.
What? 200 times 7 times 12. If everybody made every single meeting,
And does that assume some number of absences?
it must assume some number of absences, or I'm not thinking good when I did the calculation.
Well, then our projected year end is over that too. It's $17,475. And we haven't been paid, I don't know if we pay attention, but for special meetings.
No.
So,
haven't been paid, no.
And you haven't all hit every single one of your meetings either.
So how's that projected year end?
So, when you do the math, year to date, as of 8/31, it was 11,650, divided by 8 months, multiplied by 12 months, should equal, oopsies, I don't know how come. Did you get paid?
we're allowed
No.
2 absences, and anything above
Yes.
that, not.
Then you're not paid, I know that.
We're about 3, I thought.
Three absent.
Unexcused.
Three. It's, don't, you know.
I started getting my paid out.
And you don't have to look at it now, but if you can bring it back. The other thing is,
So, maybe somebody's coded to council that shouldn't be.
Always room for more.
Is there any change in employer tax rate on that? I know it's pretty tiny taxes on that, but.
Not really.
So, yeah, benefits the same thing. So 2012, we're budgeted for 900. We've almost doubled that. It's 16 for next year, but it's consistent. So it seems like this year's been an anomaly all the way down. That's where most of my questions is the difference between this year and last year. And I guess it's where we're over. Like professional services for council, it was budgeted $1,950. We've spent $29, and we've budgeted $200 for next year.
Yeah.
Travel, I've never been I don't submit reimbursement, I don't know if anybody else does, but we've got $1,000 budgeted. Training, you know, this year we've spent $262, and yet we've got $7,500. I don't know if that's a subtle hint saying we need more training, but.
That's
John's
also,
looking for some training, Mike.
that's also for dues and anything miscellaneous.
So is that a new bars thing? Because historically, you know, the furthest we've gone back and the highest is $1,200.
It just sounds to me like I was being really generous, and probably hit an extra zero in each one of those.
Okay, do that on the salaries too.
Would you like me to ditch a zero on each one of those?
I would say give it to the police department to make them.
Okay. I can do that.
The dues, was last year that we joined National League of Cities.
But it wasn't
And
that much, it was like $200.
Oh, I know, but I'm recording, does that come out of council, or does that come out of general administrative?
I would have thought that that would come out of, your 518s myself.
I thought it came out of community services, because that's who fixed it and that's who was using it. Because
Yeah,
Linda brought it to us.
It was for some kind of a program that she was doing, right?
All of your citywide stuff like that, AWC, suburban cities, all of that stuff should be in 518, that's where it is budgeted.
Okay. So, that's the, central services, right?
Right.
So would election services come out of that as well, or why
No.
is that?
Elections comes out of legislative.
Okay. And are we expecting something? Because we've almost doubled from what we did for 2012.
Well, I'm not familiar with King County elections. Pierce County elections, usually the bill for the election in November doesn't come until January, frequently not in time to make it in the 13th month. So I was anticipating that our cost for the election that was just held was going to be hitting. And as I understand it, there are two elections, special elections that council's working towards, well, no, one that council's working towards and one that the citizens are working towards. And both of those elections will come out of the city cost. And that will be expensive. Oh, well, I might not have put enough money in there then.
Right, if you give me an opportunity, I'd be happy to check with the election divisions in both King County and Pierce to get an actual estimated cost to run the election. In 2011, it was $5,000 for the city of Port Orchard to put a ballot question on a special election. So,
How is that
if you
figured?
do both of them on the same one, it's just one cost with two issues.
Is it based on population, or how does it work? Because
It is.
population for Cook County is very, very small. Yeah, if you could look into it, that'd be great.
Yeah, I'll get you guys an estimate by the council meeting on the 26th.
And then mayor's the kind of same deal. It should be a flat salary. Benefits though are almost double. Actually, they're almost triple from what they were budgeted for 2012. And it goes right down the line too. Supplies are doubled. Communications are tripled from 164 to 500. And I know we're splitting hairs, but a lot of hairs makes up a decent amount of money. Yeah. That paints a picture. Thank you, Gary. An additional 500 for mayor travel, 1,200 for training. I'm not opposed to any of it, but.
If you want me to knock off zeros, I'll be happy to.
I'm just curious as to what we see coming. So what is the mayor, where does he propose to travel? I mean, that's kind of, and I don't remember our travel policy off the top of my head. I think it requires council approval for mayor and council members and for training. I mean, if we're going to if we're looking at being down 2 officers, I'm not comfortable paying for training and travel. I would much rather have an officer on the street than have us travel.
Okay?
So that's just one council member's opinion, but.
If you give me direction, that's what this is all about, and then I can have another budget for the final hearing on Monday.
So, I have a question about that. Is the finance committee anticipating meeting and proposing a budget, an alternative proposal to this, or
Finance committee hasn't even had a meeting on this budget.
does the finance committee intend on meeting on the proposal this week?
We don't meet till after next,
You can actually continue that public hearing
can continue the public hearing, but you have to have it started before the first Monday in December.
So you just went and closed the public hearing, you would just announce that it would be continued to the next regular meeting?
How do we switch to the conversation about the public hearing?
Oh,
Why not have,
it just allows the finance committee an opportunity to look and then bring forward any further changes.
why not have the public hearing on the budget as proposed by the mayor, and then when finance committee has, if it comes up with an alternative proposal, then we can consider it at the next meeting.
You can do that, it's just a matter of whether you want to, if you have considerable changes, whether or not you want to give the public the opportunity to weigh in. Purely your choice.
So if we continue the hearing and somebody comes up the first meeting and they talk about the mayor's proposed budget, the same hearing 2 weeks later continues, and then we'll talk about the finance committee's proposed budget, we're gonna let them come up. Testify twice on the same hearing. Same.
We certainly can, it's within our prerogative to allow that.
I
Sorrow?
think we might confuse and
Yeah.
confuse.
I mean, people, I don't want people to be confused about, well, wait a minute,
Right.
I thought we were talking about this one, I thought we were talking about that one. I mean, as long as somebody's got a plan in terms of how to do that, then I'm not worried about it, I just wanna make sure somebody's thinking about it.
Do you want me to send these questions to the finance committee, or do you want me to put it back here?
Continue tonight, I think.
Yeah, because I'm not
Give
gonna
us
be
all
here the
the
next 3 Mondays, so. I can video conference in, but I'll be in Hawaii, so. Well, Salt Lake City in Hawaii, so.
Never.
I would like to see the cost of the police department overtime at current staffing levels as compared to the cost of regular police officers at full staff levels.
So, that's a good idea, and then Trent, you said you had more questions, and I had some questions too that, I was hoping, I'll let Ken go ahead and finish.
Under judicial, we budgeted for salaries and wages of $64,000, and the proposal for next year is $101,000.
You budgeted for 91,000, year-to-date in August was 64,000, anticipated at year-end is 97,000.
Okay.
How is that? What caused salaries, I mean, did we get somebody a raise that we didn't know about, or did we hire somebody we didn't know about? How does that work?
I can't speak to the 2012 budget, or how it was calculated. I mean,
So was it a problem in the number that was used for 2012, or is it?
well, that would be my guess,
If I
because
finish my question, or was it a problem in how we're paying salaries in 2012?
my guess would be that there was a issue with how, the number that was used for the budget. There was also, to keep in mind, there was also an increase because of the union negotiations that was not included in the 2012 budget for either the police or the public works and clerical staff. And that is a huge impact on the budgeted amount versus what's actual.
But there's only one person in the bargain position in judicial,
Correct.
so, I mean, that's a $10,000 difference.
I'm pretty sure she can do that anyway.
Well, the assistant was not a full-time position prior, and then when we brought Alvona on in our court system, so we ended up with 2 full-time employees in the office.
Oh, that could be it, I forgot about that. Well, the administrator. And then the next 2 line items, repairs and maintenance and janitorial goes from 4,500 to 15,000. Is that just spreading as well?
Part of that is that in the past, I don't think they were paying any on the janitorial or repair and maintenance.
how does the 15,000 compare to, say, the finance budget for that? And I guess I could find it, I just have to scroll down.
Let's see here. And I think that what happened is because they're a separate, branch of the government, they're being charged, janitorial and a portion of the upkeep on this. And for finance, the upkeep on this room and the janitorial on the building goes in central services rather than finance. Do you want me to move it to finance?
Oh, I'm good either way, as long as I know. But I'm looking at, so central services janitorial is 6,000, and that covers the whole campus?
Central services janitorial, 7,500. No, it doesn't cover the whole campus, it just covers the building.
Janitorial went down?
And that should probably go up because it looks like it's gonna be overexpended before the end of the year.
You've actually got two janitorials in.
One is
central
supplies.
services. Okay, one is just supplies?
So the
Nope,
central
there's another one down there further down,
Yeah, 6,000 and 7,500.
which is a total then of 1350.
I don't see 7,500.
All the way down about 5 more lines.
30, 48,
What is it, Doug?
518, 30, 48.
And 518, 50, 48.
So did our total, are we anticipating our total janitorial services expenditures to go up next year, or is there somebody's budget that moves that one down? Because I'm finding, listening to this question, I'm finding all kinds of places where it's going up. Is the overall cost going up, or is somebody else getting a break?
It's not just janitorial. Some of it is repairs and maintenance costs as well.
So I guess same question to both items.
And, yeah, I do not anticipate that the contract's going up. They haven't given any indication that they're planning on increasing the janitorial contract.
So am I gonna?
There are some,
budget that is going down on the janitorial services and repair and maintenance? I haven't found it yet. I'm wondering where the money's going if there's increases across, nearly across the board, and the costs aren't going up, what's the point?
I do know that there are some, specialty cleaning things that have not been done in a long time, like windows and vents.
So is that what this is intended to get at?
Well, the intent is to cover some of those type of maintenance, janitorial maintenance type issues yet.
Hey, look at these blinds.
So central services covers, it doesn't cover senior, it doesn't cover the gym. So, I'm just confused as how the court,
But I did separate out for court.
because the court's paying judicial, as it's shown here, 15,000, up from 4,500. And central services is, between the two line items, is
It's
13,000. And they take up a small office and this versus the rest of this building. How can they pay more than everybody else?
I believe some of it's got to do with the overload on court days and whatever, overload on the bathrooms, stuff, so we can have 30, 40 people in here.
High traffic area.
Okay. I was just making sure things are, and if the bar's changing and that kind of stuff, that's fine. I just didn't know.
Well, and some of it is guesstimation. This is budget. You know, it's a projection. So,
Because I just went down and looked, you know, what jumped dramatically, and that was triple, so that's kind of where I was thrown off, so, okay. Now I'm off.
I'm not positive that's all of it, but I know that it's part of it.
I know the janitorial staff dreads court days.
Yeah.